Good evening. Happy Sunday. Gordon Causey, as always. Now 11:01 p.m. Sunday night on July the 17th. And I think I might make this a regular Sunday deal. Give voice to some of the thoughts that rattle around in my tiny, imperfect, addled little human brain. And something that I had on my mind for some reason in the days leading up to Sunday was an old childhood hymn. And many will know it. And it's called All Things Bright and Beautiful. And I don't know why this was on my head. It does resonate with what I've been thinking about a lot for the longest while now. And that is just the nature of existence. Um, our place, if you will, in what for me, there's no question that it is God's creation. And the competing views in the world now, we're living in pretty much what I would consider to be a post-Christian era. Depends where you live. I think in my little corner of southeastern Ontario, church attendance is far more common. Faith is far more common than it is in large urban centers like Toronto, Calgary, Vancouver, New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, whatever the case. And depends. Parts of the U.S. are far more, the so-called Bible Belt are far more faith centered than much of Canada. But anyway, I'm digressing. I want to talk about the words to All Things Bright and Beautiful. And here are the words. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, the Lord God made them all. Each little flower that opens, each little bird that sings, he made their glowing colors, he made their tiny wings. And the chorus, all things bright and beautiful. Some of the other verses include the purple-headed mountain, the river running by, the sunset in the morning that brightens up the sky, or the cold in the winter, the pleasant summer sun, the ripe fruits in the garden, he made them every one. The tall trees in the greenwood, the meadows where we play, the rushes by the water, we gather every day. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, the Lord God made them all. I like that word wonderful because full of wonder. And that hymn, I looked it up. I was curious. And it was first published all the way back in 1848. So, not 200 years ago, but over 150 years ago. And I think at that time in human history, certainly in a country like Canada and the United States and much of Western Europe, or much of Europe as a whole, the tendency would be, if you were contemplating the absolute wonder of this world and questioned, a hummingbird, the rate at which they flap their wings and can hover and draw nectar, or something more prolific, perhaps the mosquito, and the minute, incredible complexity of just a tiny mosquito or a gnat. That's why wonderful tends to mean nice, I think, in our vocabulary. But in point of fact, just means full of wonder, and even things as annoying as mosquitoes and gnats. You can find wonder in the absolute mind-blowing complexity of their being, and how this world all fits together, how everything is interconnected with each other. And interestingly enough, I wanted to, 1848, if you said, how did that come into being? How did the mountain get there? How did the mosquito get there? How did the frog get there? How did the fly, the hummingbird? There has to be, I should look this up as well. How many creatures are there on this earth? And I'm certain it's at least in the millions. It might even be in the trillions of organisms that populate this earth. From the oceans, look at a seahorse, look at a jellyfish, sponge, all these different creatures. And if you asked, how did that come into being? The answer would be, back in 1848, well, God made it. God made it. God made it. God made it a million or a trillion times over. And then just over 10 years after this hymn, this children's hymn was written, another book, a new book came out, one written by Charles Darwin, which was called The Origin of Species. Origin's an interesting word. The Bible uses the word Genesis, the starting point. Darwin called his book The Origin of Species. And in Darwin's theory, his theory of evolution, it contended that there is no creation, that everything is just random accidents. All these trillions of incredibly intricate, full of wonder creations or accidents, I guess would be the more apt, the more appropriate evolutionary term. All these creatures are simply the result of random mutations, luck, chance. And I can't wrap my head around that. I cannot. And I think it speaks to the arrogance of the human race, of us. We understand, the more we learn, the less we know. We learn about one specific tiny aspect of, and I'm going to say it's God's creation because there's no doubt in my mind. We learn one tiny aspect of it and we think that we know everything. And while I was at church today, something came up. There was a reading and a hymn that we sang that was based on the 24th Psalm, which I've read, but there are 150 odd Psalms. I'm not even sure. It's got to be at least 150, 151. Let's see, how many Psalms are there? There are 150, 100, 150. I think there actually is one or two that didn't make it into what's typically referred to as the canon. But anyway, 24th Psalm. So reading a Psalm of David. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and those who dwell therein. For he has founded it upon the seas and established it upon the rivers. Who shall ascend to the hill of the Lord? And who shall stand in his holy place? He who has clean hands and a pure heart, who does not lift up his soul to what is false, and does not swear deceitfully. He will receive blessing from the Lord, and righteousness from the God of his salvation. Such is the generation of those who seek him, who seek the face of God. Who seek the face of the God of Jacob. Salah. Lift up your heads, O gates, and be lifted up, O ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who Is this King of glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, O gates, and lift them up, O ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who is the King of glory? The Lord of hosts. He is the King of glory. Salah. Incidentally, no one exactly knows what Salah means. Some think it's a musical notation denoting a rest, but no one knows for 100% certainty. It's one of those words that has been lost to the sands of time. It's ancient Hebrew, but that's neither here nor there. So that's one of the hymns, or a hymn was based on that, and we read a section of it. And the earth is the Lord's. What I'm seeing happening in the world now, with everything that's going on, it strikes me that the reason the world is in the mess that it's in now, and it seems to be getting worse, is because we think we're in charge, or there are some powerful, I use 3 words to describe wealthy, powerful, and they have wealth, power, and influence. People with wealth, power, and influence are directing this world, and we're heading to a dark place because we're abandoning God. We're becoming masters of our own fate. We're becoming masters of our own destiny. We think that we are greater than He that created all things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small. And it's a dangerous place that we're headed to as a collective. Individually, we can make choices. Individually, we can make decisions as to, are we going to bow down to this world, or are we going to continue, or are we going to start giving all the glory to where it belongs, to He that, and I use the term He, all the glory to Him that created all. Because here's where this atheistic, everything's just a random accident line of thinking is taking us now. We've got the World Economic Forum. Everyone knows it's a genuine, real organization. They meet every February in Davos, Switzerland. It's not a conspiracy. It's real. They have a YouTube channel like I do, like everyone does, although theirs gets a lot more views than mine do. And they have a gentleman there who's one of the top advisors to the founder. And I don't know if he's considered the president or the CEO or exactly what his title is, but he's the head guy with the WEF, World Economic Forum. That's Klaus Schwab. And he has a key advisor by the name of Yuval Harari. I'm not sure how you pronounce his last name. I'm not even 100% sure of how you pronounce Yuval. It's spelled Y-U-V-A-L. That's Yankee Uniform Victor Alpha Lima. And his last name is Harar, or Harare, and that's Harare, or Hotel Alpha Romeo Echo. So Yuval, I believe it's Harari. It's actually Yuval Noah Harari. And he has put out, you can find his videos on YouTube. Like I said, they get a lot more views than mine. But he's putting forth this idea that human beings are now nothing more than hackable, soulless creatures with, again, no soul, no deeper life has no deep significance, no deep meaning. We're just hackable creatures, and he and others are envisioning a world of what they're calling digital convergence, or another word being bandied about is transhumanism, where we take the our biological humanity and graft it into the digital world somehow. The government of Canada has a division of the government. It's called Horizons Canada, and you can check out their website, and they actually postulate about what this coming biodigital world will look like, where you can download your dreams and then review them later. And these are all scary notions, because how would you like to how would you like to have someone else having access to your dreams? We've seen how fragile security is in the digital world, how easily databases and whatever get hacked. And you really want to be uploading your dreams to the cloud, so to speak. But that's the world they're taking us on. And the population, too many are going along with it, simply because of the fact that we've forgotten the foundation upon which Western society was created. You know, this is the foundation that Western society was created upon. And it's not perfect. It never has been. It never will be. Nothing made of human hands has ever been perfect. But when you go down the atheistic road, that it ends up that you come to a point where life is meaningless. Life has no ultimate purpose. Life has no ultimate meaning. When we die, we are worms' meat, and consciousness ends. And so, if that is true, then a hedonistic, live for today, satisfy your desires, do what makes you happiest in the moment, that philosophy has a great deal of logic to it. Because what's the point otherwise? It's all just random. And there was one point I wanted to get to, and you can look this up as well if you like. I believe it's in the Indian Ocean. There's an island there where a bird had become extinct, a certain type of bird that was flightless because it had no natural predators. And the bird had been, the island had been populated. The bird, this particular was only indigenous to this one specific island or group of islands, and they were hunted to extinction, no longer existed. And then another migratory bird came in, and over a number of decades, it wasn't that long, this bird evolved into the exact same bird that was extinct. And apologists for Darwin and evolution said, see, this proves it. This proves evolution because it happened once and it happened again. I don't see it that way, because the Darwin's theory is predicated on the notion that these are that random mutations take place, and that through natural selection, those mutations which do not have a benefit to whatever it is, a bird, a person, a fish, whatever, that if the random mutation has no benefit, well, it dies out, that mutation, that it doesn't survive. But if the mutation does have a benefit, then it survives, and you get creatures of that nature. But it's random. It's just, a coin flip. It just happens by accident. Strikes me that adaptability is written into creation, that we are all, to one degree or another, creatures are made to be adaptable. And this bird flew in, no natural predators, and so it adapted to its environment. And if they hunt that one to extinction, I imagine it would replicate itself. Oh, the same supposedly random event isn't really random, it's programmed. programmed by the creator of all things. I like the term creator better than he or even God, because human language is so limiting. But the last thing I want to talk about, there's a gentleman, an actor, incredibly intelligent gentleman. His name's Stephen Fry. You may have seen a video by him if you're into what I'm talking about. And he's an avowed atheist. And he is asked by an interviewer, I think it's on a BBC type program, he's asked what he will do or what he would do if, when he dies, if he gets to pearly gates or whatever, and he finds himself confronted with the Almighty, with the creator of all things. I think the interviewer asks him, what would you say to God or to he or she or it? And Stephen Fry says something to the effect of, bone cancer in children? How dare you? And it speaks to the arrogance of the human race. We think we know everything. We think that if we were in charge, there would be no pain, no misery. Everything would be wonderful, peachy keen. And what kind of existence would that be where everything is just perfect? I saw an apologist for the Christian faith once. He put it wonderfully. He said, God being God had, you can imagine there being choices in terms of what kind of world to create, what kind of existence to create. The first choice could be to create nothing. God could say, well, I don't want to create anything. The second would be to create a world where, like Stephen Fry and others as well, everything is perfect. Never any pain, never any misery, never any heartache, never any despair. Everything is ideal. But instead, we have the creation that we have. And the apologist I heard, he put it well. He said, it's only in the type of creation that we have that love becomes possible. There was a Twilight Zone episode that was once aired, the original Twilight Zone. I think it's in the 50s or 60s, black and white. And it had a gangster, a guy in the mafia type, a mafioso type, who had died and was expecting to go to hell, and was surprised to find himself in a I can't even talk anymore. Luxurious hotel suite. Everything is beautiful, and he's amazed. And he has an attendant, someone who's waiting on his hand and foot, and he can do whatever he wants. And he goes out to a casino and he starts winning every hand. He plays pool and he never misses a shot. He walks by the slot machines and he pulls it down and he wins, and the women are all over him and he's having a ball. And then they fast forward and he becomes very bored very quickly. And finally, he turns to this servant, this man Friday, for lack of a better term, and he says, I can't take this anymore. Heaven stinks. I want you to send me to hell. And man Friday says, where do you think you are? Everything was perfect. Anyway, those are just some of the thoughts that have been rattling around in my, as I say, my tiny, imperfect, addled little human brain on this Sunday evening. Don't have any answers. The answers are in here. We're called to be in a relationship with God, and it's not supposed to be easy. It's not. What that it were easy, but it's not. And that's what makes it worthwhile. And God's going to win this battle in the end, because what the likes of Klaus Schwab and his little man Friday Yuval Noah Harari have planned, it's going to fail. It's going to fail like the Tower of Babel. If you don't like the Tower of Babel or Babel, then look at it in terms of Icarus. We think we understand one specific tiny part of creation, and we think we can do better. Yeah, we think we can manipulate things and do better than God did. Good luck. It's going to end badly. And eschatology, I'll invite you to look up that word if you like. Eschatology is end times theology, and I'm not predicting the end times. Is there going to be an end time? Yeah, I'm little doubt in my mind. Yes, no doubt in my mind. Yes, eventually at some point there will be the end times. But one thing I know for certain, I don't know when the end times are, but I do know that I will have my own end times. Anyone listening to this, you will have your own end time. And eventually, consciousness will not end. You will be standing in judgment. I will be standing in judgment. And I'm lost. I'm done. I'm without a savior. I have no hope. So, happy Sunday. If you have any questions or comments, throw them down. As I said, I'll probably do these again on Sunday. Hopefully they'll get better. This one was a little disjointed, but I tend not to script things. I just talk off the top of my head, just what's been rattling around in my addled little human brain once again. And but if you want to subscribe, that way you'll get notified when I'm going live. And if you want to chime in, I'd love to talk to some people, because I know not everyone goes to church anymore, and I know that lots of people have never even stepped foot inside a church. We're living in a world that is openly hostile toward the Christian faith. We've gone from that 1848 hymn, All Things Bright and Beautiful, where the prevailing culture acknowledged the existence of God, and now we're living in 2022 when the prevailing culture is openly hostile to the gospel. And gospel is just a word meaning good news. The good news of Jesus Christ, the good news that when you die, you are not lost. Yeah, in of yourself, left to your own, yeah, we're all lost. We've got no hope. We can never reconcile ourselves to a God who is so good and so perfect that he could make a world like this. He could make everything from the tiniest little gnat to, the complexity of our brains, dolphins, whales, amoeba, plus parameciums, from single cell organisms to mind-blowingly complex, wonderful, full of wonder. So if you get some time, go stand outside on a moonless night and just stare up at the stars. Get away from the city. If you're in the city, light pollution is a problem. You can't see the stars very well. Get yourself out into the sticks somewhere where you're at least an hour removed from all that glow that comes from the big cities, and just look up at the sky and just drink it all in and consider where you stand. It's a humbling experience. Anyway, God bless. Good night.